Bonjour, I'm Tim,
I'm Karen.
and welcome to another episode of Living a French Life.
We have a lot to do.
There is quite a bit. We've been working hard. Karen, oh my gosh, the amount of cleaning you did for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I know it's not a big place, but I really wanted to leave it spotless, so it took a while.
And I wasn't a whole lot of help inside the house because I was too busy really pushing forward getting that bathroom in, getting the toilet in.
The toilet was.
And it's in, baby.
It is. It's the only reason why I'm not going kicking and screaming from this lovely place to living in a renovation project.
But we'll get more of that in a couple of episodes. Today, in this episode, we're going to show you some wonderful techniques I used on repairing the floors inside the house, both upstairs and on the rez-de-chaussée. And Karen is going to tell us all sorts of wonderful things about the garden and your wall making techniques too, wasn't it?
I think so. I think I shared a little bit about working on the garden wall and a little bit about how to avoid the $64 tomato.
Yes, obviously we've been extremely busy, and so we've been a little lax in terms of getting videos out to production, but now we're in the house. We don't have any deadlines that I know of, other than your cousin's coming in August.
Well, and Oliver, our son, is coming.
Oh, yes,
and,
that's true.
While he's very easygoing, I'd love to have a shower for him. So
we'll see what we can do about
accomplished
that.
the toilet, and maybe we'll get a shower before my birthday in August.
Okay, so that ought to do it. Allons-y. Today's project is going to be working on the floor. Obviously, I have to replace all those boards that are missing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You mean the giant hole down into the cove?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I think that's a good plan. And this makes me a little nervous. I think we got to fix that too, honey. And what about this? Whoa! We got a dip the size of Montana. We got one over here too. Whoa!
Yeah, I guess I'll be taking care of those too.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see what you come up with without having to pull up the entire floor.
No.
I am slightly skeptical.
No.
You know, a little wonk, as we say, is character.
Now, ordinarily, if you were doing a job like this, you would have new construction, and you wouldn't have a floor in here. So leveling would be a matter of using one of those fancy little laser deals to spin around, and then just line everything up, and your lumber's all straight, and that's a win for everybody. It's what Harvard would have called a gravy go. Just get it done and get on with your life. But we have an old house here. We've got beams that are different sizes. We've got a floor that's going like the waves on the sea, and I don't have a laser, but we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. As Karen says, a little bit of wonk is okay on the project. And so I'm going to use my 1 meter long level, and I'm going to basically split the difference between the places that the floor is going up and going down. And we will make sure that we have a floor that is tolerable. So here, in this spot, which is the high spot on the floor, it is, woo boy, about 2 inches, maybe a little more, 5 centimeters, let's call it. And that's an awful lot. But this is also lower than this. So this one's gonna have to come up. This one here is gonna have to come up. And this one here is gonna have to come down. And this one here is somewhere in between. So our big movement is to drop this down about this much. And we're going to bring that one down. We're going to raise these ones up just a little bit, and that should level out the rest of the floor. Then there'll be a little bit of tweaking with some wedges, which I'll show you how I do that later. So let's get to it. Getting down to the nitty-gritty here on the floor repair. I've done a lot of leveling. I'm going to go back and probably tweak a little more just because that's what happens with floors. And now I'm filling in some of the holes that we have here. Now, what I've done is I have cut a small block of wood that is roughly the same size and shape of that. It's pretty close, actually. It's just a little bigger, actually. And I have just a little bit of a taper on it because that's what's going to make it go in there and squeeze against the existing wood, and then it will stay. We had two ways to go with this. We could have gone with the grain, or we could have gone, like I'm doing here, across the grain. And really, this is just kind of a design choice. We wanted to show where the old doorway used to be. And now it'll be forever immortalized when we sand the floor, and this kind of shows up as something a little bit different. I'm using a block of wood because I don't want there to be any hammer marks on the wood that I'm putting in here. So, a couple more taps. And we're just going to give that a little sand when we do the floor sanding, and voila, it will be all repaired.
These floorboards have been a part of our life for quite some time. The first thing we did pretty much was to take out the floor from the premier étage, or the first floor. That's what we would call a second floor in the US, but it's the first floor here in Europe. And this is all the boards we've got left, maybe about 60 of them. As we finish up putting them in so that they create the ceiling here in the rez-de-chaussée, or the ground floor. We're getting there.
All right, so this is a problem that I've run into on a number of occasions here with these boards, is that I can't get them to go together. You got your tongue and you got your groove, and they need to go together. It does two things. One, gives a good tight seal, and two, it adds support across the entire system. So it's not just being supported here and here, it's also being supported entirely through here. It makes the board system, the floor system, extremely strong. But I can't get that to go in. So that's where I come up with Harv trick number 753, which is I tap in a support block here. I've cut off a board with just the groove in it, and I'm going to slide that right in there, and then I'm going to use a handy dandy little wedge. And I tuck it in here, and I'd like you to get at this angle here so they can see that. I'm just going to tap, and you can see and voila, nice tight fit. And then all done. And that all just popped right back out. And we're ready for the next board. Managed to finish up the floor, which is kind of exciting. We didn't finish the floor. You can't see the cove anymore from the
That's a win.
Yes,
That's
exactly. So I did a lot of the really large leveling parts. I moved a few of the beams around to kind of get things into the ballpark of where they needed to be. So now it's going to be the picky stuff, trying to get the floor as close to flat as is possible.
What's our ultimate goal?
Well, right now, I'm hoping for not horrible.
Okay, yeah, I'm
But
hoping
but
for
we
that
may.
too.
But I think it's really good that very possible that we could get to très rustique.
Okay. Do you think maybe rusty isn't?
It's a possibility.
All right.
That's
what we're going for.
I don't think we'd ever get to good.
No.
But that wouldn't fit with the house anyhow.
No, these floors are centuries old, and they're meant to have their character.
Yeah, and boy, and I've been cutting a lot of this wood. I know how old this wood is.
It's really old.
Yeah, but that ought to do it. Look behind us. Look at the wall. Karen's been working on the wall back there. Look at that, how fantastic that looks. She's pointing at herself, and she's been pointing the wall.
It's pretty much ready to go for when Xavier comes. He's the stonemason.
Come on, Xavier.
Yes, he's going to gently coax out a French doors that will open onto our soon-to-be balcony.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and
There
it's
is.
really good. It's really kind of great.
It is.
Yeah.
It has been so hot and windy here, so forgive my appearance, but I've been working in the garden all day. But I did want to show you what's happening here, because as you might remember from, I don't know, back in, was that November or something? That kind of gave you a little bit of a peek of the garden. Well, it is a disaster zone now because of the septic system going in, and I'll show you the large pile of rocks. And I also have a large pile of rocks that made up the garden wall, and I decided that I wanted to try my hand at doing a dry stack wall, and here's what it looks like. But let me show you what I've got here. A dry stack wall. Well, technically I think it's more of a pile than a wall, and it begins here at the entrance of my garden, and well, that's just not gonna do, right? So I want to create an appropriate dry stack wall. Now, these were very popular in the British Isles and to demark property lines. And you can see mine has just a pile. And so what I've done is, right here, I have made this wall. I mean, come on now, not knowing what the heck I'm doing. I think it came out pretty well. I needed to stay within the footprint because both in height and width, because it's a boundary with my neighbor, and I didn't want there to be any problem or anything. And then I finish up here. And this way I can start doing some of my planting. This is Ciro or elderflower, one of my favorite shrubby trees. And then I've got this sage gone wild. It was terribly pot bound, and so hopefully it'll recover on this side. I've put another one in. They grow really fast here. Climate is perfect. And then this is to mark where I'm going to make a little cement, well, I'd say a bird bath, but it's more or less water for the lizards. And what I love about dry stack walls, not using mortar, just putting in larger rocks at the bottom, making 2 rows, and then filling it with smaller rocks between, making sure you put tie stones between that run perpendicular so it ties the 2 sides of the wall together, and then using a flat stone on the top. Well, mine is maybe a bit more haphazard than that, but it is a long way from where I started, which was this. So there we go, little by little. And this part of the garden is going to be the potager, or the kitchen garden. It's where the vegetables, herbs, and some flowers are gonna mix. Right now I've just got my tomato plants and a few zucchinis, and I have some beans going in that are just here where they get a lot of sunshine and out of the way, so I can work on the wall and do some of my permanent installation of plants that hopefully are going to like where they go. So it's a start. It is a start, and that's what you got to do. You got to begin. Let's go see what Tim has been working on. Francis was here helping, so I suspect Something, oh my goodness. Look at that. Honey, what was there?
This was the staircase.
Oh, wow.
You can see the pieces right here.
That's it.
Yeah.
That whole thing is now that pile. What's
Probably going to be able to use the stringers, no problem. The part that goes up
Okay,
on the
let's take a
stairs.
peek at that.
But I think the treads are probably not going to be good enough for stepping on. So I'll have to talk to the saw man and see what we can do.
Yeah, he's our friend,
Yeah,
Sawman.
he's my friend now, that's for darn sure.
Yes.
Now it's just a matter of prepping for tomorrow when I get the floor sander.
It's a big week.
And then this place is going to look completely different.
Look at this little house. Boy, we really have torn it apart, haven't we?
Yeah. All right, so now, as you know, this floor is really rough. Not even sure that we're going to be able to save it. There were a lot of repairs made to it, a lot of broken boards, a lot of unevenness, but a sander only costs about $60 or $70 to rent for the day, and it'll only take me a day to go over this. We'll see what we end up with. If we don't have to replace it, that's all to the good. Now, admittedly, our expectations for this floor are pretty low. We started off with a terrible, terrible floor. We got it up to not terrible. Then we got it up to très rustique. I'm hoping with the sanding we're going to get it to rustique.
Sunday morning and the sky is blue. I got forever with you. It's a pretty clean morning. I take a walk outside and I'm about to fly. Worry no more, my friends know. Lay down your hurts and pain, 'cause it's a new day. 'Cause it's a new day. It's a new day for me and you. It's a new day for me, it's true. It's a new
First pass down on the floor, and I'm pretty happy with it. What you'll see is a lot of striping, and that's the high spots. That's the places where the sander took off a lot of material. The dark spots are places that still haven't been hit by the sander. So second pass, I'm going to be more aggressive. The reason I was a little light on it was, well, two reasons really. Wanted to see what I was working with, and two, because of those nails. I found a couple of nails that I missed, and it shoots off sparks. But if it's too much, it will tear your sandpaper. So I didn't want that because the sandpaper is expensive and I only have a limited supply. So second pass, I'll be more aggressive with it, and I think we're going to be really happy with what the floor looks like.
It's Sunday morning and the sky is blue. I got forever with you. It's a pretty clean morning. I take a walk outside.
So, how do you avoid growing the $64 tomato? You know, when you spend so much on your garden that your produce is just too expensive. Well, there's three things you can do to have an incredibly abundant and frugal garden. The first thing is to save your seeds. it's incredibly important. If you have a lettuce that you really love, then make sure you allow some of those plants to bolt and then save those seeds. This was a particularly wonderful aromatic basil, and so I saved the seeds, and now I'll have basil for this year, and so on and so on. I have a rule of thumb, which is to never buy seed more than once. If there's a particular plant that I want and I can't seem to find it, my friends don't have it, then I will purchase it. But I only purchase it once. So make sure you save that seed. It's the first rule of thumb for a frugal garden. The second is to take cuttings. Things like lavender and sage, thyme, rosemary, all of these things are incredibly easy to propagate by just simple cuttings. Snip them, stick them in a glass of water, forget about them. And when they have roots, then pot them into a plant pot, and you will have all the lavender, all the herbs that you could possibly want. Forage for some of those things as well for your garden. I can't think of too many plants that I've actually purchased outside of maybe starting a few flowers like my dahlias, which then I will continue to divide and have more. But for the most part, if I see something I like, a wild rose, a fig tree, I receive permission if it's on someone's property, or I trade with a friend and wind up with a wonderful array of plants for my garden. The third thing to avoid having the $64 tomato is to create your own soil. Grow your own soil. It's really important. Bagged soil is expensive, and frankly, I don't think it's all that great. So make sure you compost, even if you have a small space. Maybe you only do a balcony garden. Then create maybe a little set of worm bins that are small and can recycle your, your compost leftover fruits and veg from the kitchen, and create this amazing worm castings compost extraordinaire, and use that for your garden. But you have to really make your own soil. Keep those leaves. I actually will pull leaves from neighbors that they might not want them. I offer to rake them up and then I move them in. Especially if you're doing raised beds. Think about layering the bottom with maybe old cardboard, newspaper, small diameter logs. Fill that up first on the bottom, and then begin adding your compost materials, and maybe top off with some aged compost if you have it, or maybe purchase that. Make friends with the farmer. Yeah, so, gardening doesn't have to be expensive. You just have to be careful when you go to the garden store. So, save your seed, forage and take cuttings to propagate to your favorite plants, and make your own soil. So one of the revelations is that we don't have a shower.
Yes, it's true.
Garden hose.
We're going to have to be really creative about keeping ourselves smelling fresh and...
Yes. Garden hose. I have a large zinc tub. I guess we could fill that up with water, let the sun warm it up a bit. Oh my God, I need that bathroom, honey. I said it was just the toilet, and I'm fine with that, but I need the whole thing.
Okay, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Are we though?
We are. Next week, we're going to do a wrap up. We're going to show you greatest hits for the entire first season.
Yeah.
And we'll also sneak in a bunch of the footage that we shot that we haven't shown you so far for some of the other projects that we've been working on.
That'd be good.
And then we're going to kick off.
Extra bloopers.
Most definitely there will be bloopers.
Right.
No question. We make a few of those. And then we're going to kick off season 2 in the house, living amongst the construction.
Okay, you've got to be gentle and kind. I promise every day it's going to get a little bit better.
Yes.
So that tonight, as I fall asleep, I'm going to tell myself it can't get any worse than this.
That's true.
Because every day it's going to get a little bit better. And so maybe we can show them that progression.
I think that will be fantastic. So, one more episode. That'll finish off season 1, and then we're going to get into season 2. And then we can pop the cork on this baby.
Yes. Do I have glasses? I don't have any glasses. Do I have any glasses? Oh my gosh.
Where
We're
are the
camping.
glasses? Where are the glasses?
I think they're in a box packed in the barn with everything else I own. Oh my goodness. Until then, make sure you...
Oh yeah, like, subscribe.
Yes.
Do all those YouTube things.
I'm too tired to get any of this right.
Oh, and hey, pretty soon, can we tell them? Can we sneak tell them about the article, the magazine article?
Oh yeah,
We're gonna be featured in a magazine.
Yeah, we are. It's kind of wild and crazy. We'll have details about that and talk a little bit more about how we came into this adventure.
Yes, yeah. We'll kind of give you the origin story.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that beginning of season 2.
All right, sounds good.
All right, there you go. So, yes, a very exhausted Tim and Karen, and until the next wrap-up episode, à tout à l'heure. Lucy has decided that YouTube is her thing. She has to be in all the videos now.
Yeah, well, you know. Your hair is nice. You got it cut.
I know, it's really short though. You got this thing in your ear.
What is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, you do not want to piss off the video person, because I would touch the button. Oh wait, you didn't say subscribe.
Oh, yeah, all that stuff. Okay, yeah, all right.
Jesus.
I can live with that.
I can live with that.